Thank you, Jerome. Ben and Mina, I didn't see you here today. They married off their youngest daughter, Callie, yesterday and went off to celebrate. I guess you don't do it quite to the extent you used to. Anyway, welcome everybody. I want to say hi to our virtual viewer, Lindsay, who I met this week. Lindsay, hi. I'm giving you a shout out. We have installed this new Techno Reversal Visionary thing on our camera so we can actually see you at this very moment, as you can see us. And will you wave to us? Come on. That's it. Thank you so much. Oh boy, what a great day, isn't it? The weather is fabulous. And when I was secretary here many, many years ago, there's an elderly woman named Tilly who asked me to escort her to her great niece's wedding, which I gladly did. It was a wonderful wedding, and at the reception, we were able to sit with some of the groom's family members. One of the ladies kindly began to ask us about what unity was all about, and I began to explain to her some of the unity beliefs. But every time I did, there was another gentleman sitting across the table who would kind of grunt and humph every time I explained a unity belief. And this went on, and this went on. He kept interrupting us. Finally, he abruptly stood up and said, "I'm going to a table over there where there's not so many unity people." Tilly, without batting an eye, said, "Why don't you go to hell? There's no unity people there." Oh, boy. Hey, isn't hell an interesting concept? I mean, hell, most of us have been raised with it in some form or other. In an interesting word, when I was a child, we couldn't say hell. We couldn't even spell it. We had to spell it H-E double toothpick. And then people kind of got the inference of what hell meant. But it was very confusing as a child growing up because we weren't supposed to say it, yet we'd go to church and the minister would blurt it out every chance he got. And then outside of church, you would hear hell in so many different variations. If somebody was dissatisfied, they'd say, "Oh, hell." If they were happy, they'd say, "Oh, hell." Some people would use hell to describe the weather. It's colder than hell, or it's hotter than hell. When my mother tried to push my father into doing something that he didn't want to do, he would say, "When hell freezes over." The Catholics believe that the Protestants are going to hell. The Protestants believe the Jews are going to hell. The Jews believe the Muslims are going to hell. The Baptists believe everybody's going to hell. And since hell is eternal, I mean, if you stop and think, since hell is eternal, we have a population program, and it's not going to be long before all hell breaks loose. So where did this concept of hell come from? What exactly does it mean? Why is it so threatening to us in so many different ways? An old myth says that before human existence, God lived with a host of angels someplace in the far out reaches of the sky, and everything was just fine until he attempted to create human beings. And when he did, he was so proud of his creation that he actually raised human beings in status, raised them in worth and value above the angels. Well, Lucifer, the head angel, became outraged when this happened. How could God take a lowly, physical human being and raise it above the value of him? So he left heaven, and he embarked upon an objective, or a tirade, I should say, to prove that God's value of human beings was way overrated. He came to earth. He changed his name to the devil. He took up residence in a place called hell. The sole purpose was to torture those that he could separate from God. He attempted to separate people from God in three different ways. And the first one was to prove their unworthiness. They had to believe that they were unworthy, so they would act in an unworthy way. So he began to tempt or to instill upon them notions that human beings weren't worthy. They were give me a word. Lesser. They were lesser. They were something lesser than what they thought to be, and therefore they felt God was unsatisfied with them. and rejected them because of their unworthiness. So they separated the people from God. They separated the people within themselves, where the self viewed the self as not being worthy. And they also separated the people from the world that they lived in. They felt unworthy, and they'd go about their lives, and they would see signs of that unworthiness wherever they went. Well, sitting here today, it is difficult to believe, and I'm not saying it's not true, but it's difficult to believe that there is a little red man with horns and a pitchfork residing in a place at the center of the earth strictly to torture people who our God, our wonderful, loving, kind God, has allowed us to go there. That just doesn't make sense. Yet religion has used that as a tool for ages to keep control over the people. The primary use of hell is to instill fear. Instill fear in people that they might go there if they don't do what the church leaders say. It's a magnificent tool, and oftentimes hell is described with graphic images of pain and suffering and torture. One scripture says, people will go to hell, and when they come out, they will be degraded into a jackal with lean cheeks. And people will hate them and throw stones at their black and blue sores. Another one says people will be dropped into a pit of worms. And yet another source says people will be dropped into boiling oil, and there they will be flipped about like a pancake on a griddle. Now, all images that can instill fear in almost anybody if you believe, first of all, that you're unworthy, second of all, that God will allow you to go to that hell, and third of all, that it exists at all. So moving beyond this myth of hell as a destination we may or may not go to, whether we're naughty or nice at the end of our life, let's look at it in a different way. Let's look at hell in regards to Satan or Lucifer or the devil's original intention, which was to fracture our sense of worthiness or our well-being. So we're divided within. There's a sense of separation within. One part of the self becomes the attacker. The other part of the self becomes the attacked. One part of the self becomes the bully. The other part of the self becomes the bullied. We have these voices going on in our head. Researchers say that 80% of our self-talk is of a negative nature. It's chatter inside the head that is condemning, criticizing the self for being the self. And many of you might experience this from time to time. A lot of us were raised with that idea that we weren't worthy in the eyes of God. Every time we made a mistake, it was supposed to be unnatural. We were to be better than that. But it's that division within ourselves that is hell. When you're living with a part of yourself that you despise, that you hate, that you reject, it is like living with the enemy 24 hours a day. It's all fabricated on illusion. The second thing in regards to hell is moving through this lifetime thinking that your existence has been damned, so to speak, thinking that you are not right, that you don't fit into this world, thinking that the world is a place where you don't have purpose and meaning. That is a very, very sad and sufferable existence that we can refer to as hell. And once again, the third experience of hell is feeling that our higher power, our God, however you define it, has abandoned us, has rejected us, and has cast us out. To feel that we're not connected with it all, with that higher power, can seem like hell. Now, all of these variations, or all these examples, are nothing more than frames of mind. It's a mind frame. It's a thought, a feeling, an attitude, a perception that you have within you, but it is not based on truth. The light of truth within you shines forth and says that you're a divine expression of God, that you're here, you have everything you need to live a comfortable and fulfilling life, that you're a good person living a good life in a good world. That is the light of truth that shines within you always. It is the darkness when we turn from that light of truth and believe that which is not true, that we're not good, that we don't fit into this life, that God has no feelings of approval for us, where we turn from the truth, we begin to imagine and we begin to illusion this thing that we just don't have what it takes to live a successful life. There's an old story about a samurai warrior, a big, fierce, strong samurai warrior. He wanted to know about heaven and hell, so he went to the wise spiritual master. And he said, "Please, master, tell me about heaven and hell." And the master looked up at him and said, "You stupid oaf. You're big, you're disgusting, you're an embarrassment. Neither I or anybody else could possibly teach you a thing. Now get out of here, I don't want to see you again." Well, the samurai warrior exploded with rage. He pulled his sword, he was about to bring it down on the spiritual master, when the spiritual master held up one finger and said, "This is hell." The samurai warrior suddenly realized that the master had actually put himself in harm's way. It actually gave up his life, the chance of losing his life, to teach him this valuable lesson. The warrior realized that he'd never been loved like that by anybody before. And in response, his heart poured out a love to the master. He fell to his knees and he embraced the master, and as he did, the master bent down and whispered in his ear, "This is heaven." Now, we can compare that with our own lives very easily. When we take on the notion that we're not as good as we should be, that we're stupid, that we don't belong in a higher class of value or worth, whether it comes in the form of a criticism, condemnation of somebody else, if we take that and we believe it, it hurts. It creates a sense of outrage within us, a sense of suffering within us. Yet when we are loved and we express our love back, it's exactly the opposite. It is like heaven. The exchange of love is the greatest experience we can have on this earth. So we can say that hell is the darkness of the mind where we turn from the light of truth and we engage ourselves in illusions or error thoughts that are not true about us at all. And heaven is the light of truth where we turn to the eternal truth of our being and realize that each and every one of us is here. We're a precious soul. We're expression of divine spirit. We're on our path. We live, we learn, we sometimes fail. We pick ourselves up, we continue to go on. So there's only one question and one question only you need to ask yourself. The next time you find part of yourself attacking another part of yourself, the next time you feel you're not unworthy, the next time you feel that God has cast you out and doesn't care about you, the next time you're fearful about what might happen tomorrow because you can't manage it, the next time you worry about what you did yesterday and you're filled with guilt and shame, the next time you worry about your well-being, there's one question and one question alone you have to ask yourself. And that is, what in hell am I doing? Because there's no reason at all for you to be there. As we move into meditation this morning, I want you to just think about those things in your life that sometimes feel like hell. They feel like they are unnecessary, that there's a certain vengeance of life to try to buckle you down and hurt you and deprive you of things, and realize that that light of truth is within you. It is always there. You may turn from it, you may look down, there might be shadows that cover it up, but it's always there within you. We'll now move into meditation.
There is As we prepare for the meditation, it's helpful to take a few slow, deep breaths. Breathing in and filling up your lungs completely. And breathing out, letting every drop of air. Just breathing in and breathing out. Taking this precious opportunity to settle in and settle down, to have that awareness of this moment. Letting go of any sense of struggle or tension. And allowing that innate sense within us of our connection to love, to God, to all the goodness that surrounds us and is always deep within us. So imagining in that moment, in this moment, that you are connecting into that innate wisdom that is within each and every one of us. In that place of wisdom, affirming these words, making them your own. I am worthy. I am kind. And I am wise. I am worthy. I am kind. And I am wise. Letting those affirmations just rest with you in the silence. And as we leave the silence, we know that because of our unending connection to God, that we take with us everything we need to live a life that is as if it is heaven on earth. That within us is where heaven resides. And so it is.
God's love is deep within me, ever satisfying my soul. God's love is deep within me, ever satisfying my soul.